Welcome to Launch Code, a premier business podcast, starring Evan Hafer, Matt Best, and Jared Taylor.
And we're live. Hopefully you've had a few minutes of pre-clap-in chatter. But anyway, I'm here today with Richard Ryan.
That's such an awkward way to bring it in.
Well, but we're here.
That's
and
great.
We've arrived.
Yeah, we're here.
I'm here today with Richard Ryan, and kind of a follow-up to a series of interviews I want to do with people that have been with Black Rifle for a long time and have important roles in the company and kind of explain what they do. So, I think a lot of people, they see Black Rifle and they see the finished product. They see the coffee, they see the clips, they see the content and all that stuff. And what I want to do is shed some light on how we get to that. So Logan and I did one about social media. I don't remember what episode it was, but it was a fantastic one. And so now I have Richard Ryan today, and I kind of got two routes I can take with you. And I think the best way to do it would be to do one episode. I want to talk about YouTube, and then I think we do a follow-up episode kind of talking about your role with Black Rifle from start to current time. So I'm sure right now there is a Navy SEAL deployed that wants to become famous and do a movie. But before he does a movie, he's going to need to do some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about YouTube today. And
Sure.
So how you have a YouTube channel called Full Mag.
Yeah.
Which has 2.3 million subscribers.
Yeah.
But that's a lot for those listening. That's a ton.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to grow to 2.3 million?
Man, that's really loaded. There's there's lots of different people that you'd be talking to, right? There's the guy who, like in your scenario, the guy who's just starting out. There's people who's been doing it for a while and things along those lines. And the landscape's changed. I'm not an apples to apples scenario, right? Because I started, I think, in 2007 or something along those lines. And my channel was just a byproduct of a bunch of other channels that I was currently cast in. So I was cast in a sketch comedy group, kind of like The Lonely Island or SNL. And it was doing really well. And, I had a lot of friends who were starting what now are called MCNs. At the time, it was just a bunch of us getting together and kind of collaborating. And that was Maker Studios, which ultimately ended up selling to Disney, Big Frame, or The Cloud became Big Frame, and Awesomeness. All these other companies just started coming together. And really what that was is just a bunch of channels trying to collaborate, and then people who couldn't afford certain things getting either ad sales support or support with gear and equipment and things along those lines.
So when you say collaborating, I'd say it all the time, like one person creates a business of one, two people can create the business of four.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is you want to find people who have a similar demographic, same people who are consuming the content that they enjoy on one channel generally will convert on another channel that is of similar interest, not identical, but early on, Jenna Marbles came out to LA. She was living, I think, in Boston, and I showed her around Los Angeles. And currently, or at that time, she was being represented by Big Frame, and so we went to the shooting range and stuff like that. Her audience, predominantly male. I mean, worked really well as a crossover collaboration with mine. But then there was other people who were predominantly female demographics that just, like a beauty guru or something along those lines. Their audience wouldn't convert well. And if anything, it may actually hurt my channel. And
right.
Just because they may not like the things that I did. So I was doing sketch comedy and things along those lines, very much Lonely Island and rom-com and things along those lines. So it was kind of skewed female, younger. And then what I branched off into kind of action adventure with action sports, guns, firearms, explosives, things along those lines. It was predominantly male. I mean, I think my demographic now is around, I'm going to say 94, 97% male. And so it skews really heavy in that. But going back to the original kind of advice there's a few different ways to look at it. I was very analytical about my channel. And from the beginning, I was like, okay, I see people getting burned out, even in the early days of YouTube, just by the sheer amount of work that goes into content creation. It's like, what's something that I could do on a regular basis that's going to be kind of evergreen in that sense?
And what does evergreen mean for those listening?
It's content that's not. It's content that's not necessarily time sensitive. So say you put out a video that's about Christmas, it's only relevant really in that holiday period of time. Or if you do something that's topical in the news, like, some event happened in the world today, like this bank closed down or whatever, it's only kind of relevant right then. But if I do something that's on, how to skateboard, well, people are learning how to skateboard
right. So
forever.
Yeah. So another way to say it would be like seasonal or current events.
Yeah, but evergreen in that sense is not seasonal.
Right, no, that's what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I tried to figure out what kind of programming could I do around that, and there were always movies coming out, there was always video games coming out, and I really enjoy both. Like I would during the holidays and stuff like that, I'd binge watch movies, or I'd go get a video game, and then like early on, I made like an RCXD from Call of Duty Black Ops.
What's an RCXD?
It's a remote controlled explosive device. So you'd take a remote control car, put a plastic explosive on it, and a remote detonated explosive.
And you made a video about that.
Yeah. So it's just taking an element of a video game that was currently popular and just creating it in real life. Done it with movies like Matt Best and I did a thing for London Has Fallen where we blew up a limo. Did some stuff for The Revenant.
You blew up a limousine?
Yeah.
Is that still on YouTube?
Yeah.
What's the name of that video?
I think it's Will a thermite grenade blow up a limo or something like that.
And you bought the limo?
Yeah, I did.
What kind of limo was it?
It was just a stretch limo. I bought.
What year?
I don't know. It was like, I bought it in Phoenix. I bought it in Phoenix and drove it out to El Paso when Matt and JT were still living out there, and we did it out there in the range. But I mean, I did a bunch of stuff. Like for The Revenant, we did some archery trick shots with Donnie Vincent out in Oregon. And, but for me, there's movies always coming out. There's always video games. So there's not necessarily a creative strain on me. It's not taxing because I thoroughly enjoy movies and video games. So there's a deep well for me to draw from there. And then early on, I saw the shock value in being able to destroy new products, right? So I had a series called Tech Assassin where now hindsight's kind of 2020. You see a lot of tech destruction channels and stuff like that, but it's really a byproduct of my channel and Blintech. We were really the grandfathers of tech destruction on YouTube, and it's just people see that new iPhone that comes out and they see it destroyed in a really creative, fun, exciting way. And I honestly couldn't keep that pace of doing it every single week just because it was so expensive. But there's some channels out there that do they do it in a lower kind of production quality, I guess you could say. They walk out of a Best Buy and smash it on the ground, and most people get really frustrated.
So
with
that's
that.
a thing, tech destruction.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so the landscape's kind of shifted a lot in YouTube, whereas I had a big struggle when it came to the firearms thing in California, just politically and legally and things along those lines. And it was always a big hurdle for me in all my permitting and things that were required just to do my shoots. So I had to travel a lot to Vegas or to Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and things along those lines. So my production costs were pretty significant. But if there's any advice I could give early on, it's one, and it's extremely cliche, but you have to really enjoy the type of stuff that it is that you're going to do, because you're going to get burned out. And you're going to find that you have to work at a breakneck pace just to be able to keep up with. The algorithm is weighted heavily towards consistency in upload schedules and watch time on video and watch time on channels. So I had to go from making 1 to 2 minute videos to, maybe 10-minute, 15-minute videos, just so that watch time on video and channel was increased. But, it's a good thing too, because I hate being on camera in a lot of ways because I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm a narcissist, a closet narcissist, and I'm scared of that coming out and like being able to, kind of reinforce that behavior. So I've always kind of shied away from it. It's like, here's all the cool stuff that happens. Cool. Hope you like the video. Great. Thanks. Bye. So now it's forced me to show a little bit more of the behind the scenes, and I think people genuinely appreciate that. So it's not like I'm milking the time on camera or anything like that, but you really have to be aware of what's happening in the industry and kind of pivot. If there's anything that will really hurt you in the long term, is being set in your ways.
So it sounds to me like you have to be proactive, and
Yep.
you cannot take a passive approach to, I'll just do something, and it's not easy. Like you have to put time, energy, focus on what you're doing, do your research.
Yeah, you have to be
Quality of content is huge.
Yeah, and so that's always been the big debate, especially with the bigger MCNs, is quality over quantity. And quantity is definitely
What's an MCN?
a multi-channel network. And their business models were to get as many channels in under their umbrella as possible so that they could get impressions for advertisers. So instead of, say, Toyota wants to do an ad buy, instead of going to 1,000 different channels and paying them individually, they could go to one location, this multi-channel network that has 1,000 channels under their umbrella, and say, hey, look, we just want to give you guys a couple $1 million, do some campaigns, some stuff in video. Let's run ads over their videos and stuff like that. So they were kind of like the middleman that was supposed to add value to the smaller channels that they couldn't normally get from Google. And so, yeah, the problem that I've seen with a lot of people, though, especially the smaller channels, is they're not willing to adapt. In specifically, like, say, firearms is a really good example. For me, I've never been the controversial firearms channel in a lot of ways because I try to be as safe as possible and things along those lines. But it's clear that, even with YouTube and Google being a private company, they can kind of impose their own.
Yeah, he who has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because they on one side they say, well, we're trying to be advertiser safe, and I completely understand that. But I also have a coffee company, and I would love to advertise on all these firearms channels, but you're demonetizing them because they have firearms in their videos. And it's like, I get that it's not advertiser safe for everybody, but for me it is. Like, I would love to run Black Rifle ads on like half of these channels that are being demonetized. They're not yahoos out there doing unsafe things, but yeah, like me as a channel, I have to understand that YouTube can do that. They can, as a private company, they can set these rules into place. So I'm personally having to adapt. Now, Full Mag is an example. I've had to focus on the coffee company and on Rated Red and things along the lines over the last couple of years, so I've neglected it. And so I'm stepping back into it here this year, trying to get everything going back again. And the algorithm is so different. It's so different. I've been A/B testing Black Rifle Coffee, Imbest 11X, and Full Mag in different ways.
You're talking about those YouTube channels.
Correct. And so there's I'm fortunate in the sense that I have three relatively big properties with those three channels that I can test different variables to see how it impacts them. And just the keywords alone and the metadata and the description. Metadata is just the words, essentially, and the title, the description, and the tags. And, I put the more controversial things in Full Mag because I knew it was a bigger risk. I was more safe with Black Rifle Coffee. Black Rifle Coffee is a challenge in itself just because it has rifle in the name. And so that flags in the system. So we've ran into issues where just by the name of the company, it had to be manually confirmed as safe for advertising. And, I know I'm going to stray real quick on that, but monetization on a video is extremely important because it's in YouTube or Google's best interest to make money off of video. So they'll prioritize content that can be monetized because, yeah, everybody can upload a video, but do they want, the top 100 videos for that day to be making them money, or do they just want it to be, controversial stuff that they can't make money off of?
Right.
So they weigh whether or not they're willing to say it or not. And there's ways that I've proven, like I have an archive of videos that consistently perform. Like I had a video with a 20 millimeter Lottie.
What's that?
It's a Finnish anti-tank rifle. It's magazine fed from the top. Really cool, rifle on skis and everything. But it's got a very clickbaity thumbnail. It's fun to watch, with slow motion and everything. It performed really well for me in my library. It's evergreen, right? So it's not topical. It should perform forever. So I uploaded that video in 2012, 2013. So it's about 6 years old-ish. It was performing extremely well, getting maybe 10,000 views a day. So it was getting anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of views a month. And this thing is old, right? The second they demonetized it, it went to like 100 views a day.
So they just pulled the rug out.
Yeah, and where all that traffic comes from is related videos and things along those lines. Search here and there, but mostly related videos, because they see that people like that video, so they want to serve it up. But the second it got demonetized, they stopped serving it up, and it killed it. So there was a few videos like that, and I disputed it. And a couple of them, they said, oh, okay, well, we were wrong. The algorithm was wrong. This is suitable for all advertising. The second they remonetized it, right back up. It was getting like tens of thousands views, a couple million views a month and everything. And I was like, okay, this is a clear indicator that monetization is extremely important, even if you're not running pre-rolls, just in-display ads and stuff like that. So that's one thing for me as a creator I have to take into consideration now. It's like I had a channel that was primarily focused on firearms and explosives. How do I get around being demonetized? I'm going to have to limit the amount of Glock 19 videos that I do, especially like AR-15s and things along those lines. Maybe I should focus more on less controversial.
For now,
exactly. You just have to be willing to adapt. Same thing with watch time. You have to look at the way that you do your content in a way that's like, it's not going to be like this forever. And you need to diversify too. I know this is a YouTube conversation, but they can pull the rug out from you at any time.
Well, we're living rent free.
Yeah, absolutely.
On all social channels.
Yeah. So it's like Facebook, Instagram, diversify.
Twitter.
Twitter, as much as you can, diversify. And so you can see what's successful on your channel. I think that's a great way to like look at hotspots and things along those lines. I work with the YouTube product team on a lot of different things over the years, and one of the case studies that we did was on hotspots. Specifically,
what's a hotspot?
So it's the more popular moment. So if you look at a line chart, right, and you run from 0 seconds all the way out to into your video, there'll be a line chart, and then the higher points will be the hotspots, where most people either back up or they'll stop and they'll look at what's going on in there. It's generally the most popular portion of that video.
So a hotspot is like the peak.
Yes,
okay.
Peak for attention, peak for engagement. It got people to put something in the comments. And so what I would do is I would look at those hotspots, and then I'd create content, be it a reel, an ad, or whatever around that one thing. So it just helped me create better content that way. And there's a million and one tools. I mean, I feel like we could probably do a few hours on just best practices that most people don't talk about. And I know a lot of people say, hey, you should do what you love. And that's very cliche in a lot of ways, but that's definitely one of the primary factors.
So best practices. Let's talk about the algorithm. You hear that word a lot in social media. You hear about Facebook's algorithms, YouTube's algorithm, Instagram algorithm, blah, 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 blah. How do you know when there's a change in the algorithm, and what do you do to mitigate that? Or how do you adjust on the fly, et cetera, et cetera? Like, how do you know when it happens?
That's a tough one. I mean, you can listen to other industry professionals and take everything that people say with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of egos out there where people try to justify their role in consulting or their position within a company, and they blame it on the algorithm. They say, algorithm, it's working against us. I feel that you just have to be brutally honest about every aspect of your business. And I pride myself in that in a lot of ways over the years, in that if something didn't perform, was it shit content? Was it that, or, was it demonetized because of some type of random keyword that I put in there, like AR-15?
As opposed to like, they're censoring us. It's like, actually, no, you're just putting out junk content. No one wants to see what you're saying.
But it's crazy. I'm going to totally butcher this, but there was a saying in Hollywood that's like, you could spend $100 million on a movie and it still be crap, but it really takes like all the stars lining up for you to like have a successful blockbuster, right? There's the marketing behind it, there's the actual production, the promotion, the actors, the actual the talent involved on it and everything. So
and also things you can't control, like external factors,
right? So
what's going on in society, things like that.
All the stars have to align in that sense for there to be successful content in a lot of ways. And you may just ride the wave of something topical. Like you may have struck gold. That might not be the thing that you need to focus on all the time. It just may have been relevant. So, for example, say you do a video that was, I don't know, on a pressure cooker or something like that.
Right.
And then, like there was this really awesome thing that just came out on cooking or something like that. And you just rode the wave because
like Martha Stewart made a thing on how to make chili out of a pressure cooker. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whatever it is. Right. And then all of a sudden you ride this wave and it's like, oh man, I should do more pressure cooker content. Not necessarily. So there's a lot of different variables that play into success. There's a lot of variables that play into failure. Right. So it could just be nobody was on that time. Like something happened in the world. The weather was great outside and people said, screw it. You know what? I'm going outside.
Right.
And so that's one reason why a lot of people say make consistent quality and quantity, because if the amount that you're uploading and the times and the quality are all consistent, you can figure out what those variables are a little bit easier. So if something does shift in the algorithm that, they weigh certain things, if it's engagement, watch time, or keywords and stuff like that, monetization, you can see that impact. And you'll hear it from other people too. But a lot of people, they just kind of throw things out there just because, like I feel like in the marketing world, influencers gets thrown out so much where people really don't even understand the word half the time. It's the same thing with content creators and people who upload stuff. It's algorithm. It's like,
I want to, every time I hear that word, I want to ask the person, say, do you actually know what an algorithm is?
Yeah.
Like mathematically, do you know what an algorithm is?
Yeah.
And, you touched on it, but I think a lot of people, they don't pay attention to things that are going on in the world. So like you said, it's beautiful weather, maybe, or if there's the SEC championship game is on and you have a video that is, you want to talk about, I don't know, some type of sporting event or kicking a football or something. Probably not the best time to post it at the kickoff of the SEC championship game. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing and what you can control. I think it's just as important to look at the things that you can't control. Like, is it a national holiday? Is there a presidential debate? What's going on? Is there some type of breaking news that's going to absorb everyone's attention? So there's things and you have to pay attention to those things. And a lot of people don't. I just don't know why I think they're trying to censor me, bro. Conservative. It's like, nah, man, look what time you posted it and look what was going on in the world that day and in that time. That's why your video didn't do well.
Yeah.
Or your picture. Because, dude, I've thrown things up. I've posted stuff more times than I can count where I thought or said, this is going to kill it. This post, this image is going to get the most likes we've had on any Instagram post this month, blah, 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 blah. And it performed like crap. And then there's also been times where I was like, oh, I need to get something up. And you posted it like an off time or whatever. And it outperforms everything. So there's just a lot of things that you can't control.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things you're getting at is know as much as you possibly can about your landscape or battlefield, whatever you want to call it, and control the things you can control. But be cognizant and aware of the things that are happening outside of your sphere.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people don't get right is authenticity. And a lot of people try to, they try to create the things, the content, the media that they think other people want. And that becomes a huge pitfall in a lot of ways where can you, one, keep that pace, and two, can you authentically do that?
Yeah, that's one thing Logan and I talked about was, I'd say feed the beast. It's not necessarily what you want. It's what the fans want. And you got to give them what they want.
But see, that's where I disagree in a lot of ways because you'll burn out. you'll burn out if you don't give people what you want first and you're not authentic about it, then you're going to burn out. You can't keep that pace. Like if Logan were to post TNA shots all day every day, it burned the audience out. But being authentic about who he is, being authentic who we are in a lot of ways, it resonates more with the audience than a shallow TNA post or something like that. But they perform really well, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a reason why there is a gun bunny aspect to every type of niche sport out there. There's BMX bunnies. There's skydive bunnies.
Don't get me started on the whole huntress thing. I can be here for hours.
But you know what
screaming.
I'm saying? But that's a very short burn. I look for long burns in social media. I want people to. That's the thing I love about Black Rifle Coffee. Like early on with us and everything, I was like, Matt and Evan's stories are just fucking amazing, right? It's like, I'm just this dude who's blowing shit up on the internet.
You're a YouTube veteran, bro.
Yeah. I'm just this dude who's just fucking like the persona that I'm throwing out there in a lot of ways is annoying to me. The guy destroying stuff and stuff like that. Like, that's why I think that like the long burn with Black Rifle Coffee is going to be so much greater than that of anything that even a lot of us have done in the past, because we gave a lot of people what they, was just good for social media in a lot of ways. We're doing something way more deep now.
No, I think
it's way more authentic.
Yeah. No, what I meant was you're giving them what they want in their sphere of what they want.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
As opposed to you'll see some guy that fancies himself as a professional photographer. Okay. I'm talking about Instagram right now.
Yep.
So you take a guy that runs marketing or digital for a company, and he fancies himself as a pro photographer. And he is more concerned about what his peers in the photography space, how they will view what's going up, as opposed to being concerned about how the customer base or the fan base will view it. That's what I meant by feeding the beast.
Yeah.
And now it's not a single stem tree like with Black Rifle. The original stuff was all humor based.
Yeah.
And then,
but there's a reason for that.
Right. And then from that, I think the next iteration was the educational component to coffee. So there's a lot of videos on like how-tos and like different types of coffee drinks and things like that. Those were done. I don't necessarily think the fan base wanted to see that immediately. I think they would have chosen humor over that, but that was done with their best interest in mind, meaning we want to educate you on coffee on this journey that we're doing.
No, that wasn't it.
What?
No, the tutorial videos and stuff like that was more of an SEO play for us, because our YouTube. So there's a reason why you do certain things when you're a smaller channel, because you can afford to.
I'm talking everything in general, not just YouTube.
Yeah. So the reason why we were able to be louder and more controversial in a lot of ways, because there's nothing to risk early on, and then for YouTube, for example, for the coffee company, the reason why we went the coffee drink and gear tutorials and stuff like that was an SEO play, because I knew that 3 years from now, Black Rifle Coffee is going to be so much more deep, so much more than that. We couldn't afford to do that 2 years from now. It'd burn the audience. And so when we had 50,000 subscribers, we can create that type of content and let it live out there because it's evergreen, right? So it's going to snowball even after we're not doing that anymore.
Right. But also to educate the customer and the fan.
Yeah.
To bring them along on the journey.
Yeah, it was. But we didn't have that big of a base when we did it.
Right.
So it was more to reach out to those people who were looking for a Chemex tutorial and invite them into the Black Rifle Coffee brand.
Yeah.
And so that's
we're saying the same thing just in different ways right now.
Yeah. So but in that sense, where a lot of people go wrong is like how do I put it? When you're talking about your guy who's creating Instagram posts and stuff like that, that he may be doing it for his peers, but some people do it just because they want a bunch of likes, and that's still the wrong reason.
I agree.
You need to know who your audience is and then create that content for them. If they genuinely want that, then that's fine. But if you're doing it for, the likes, you'll end up burning your audience down the road, because what you're doing is you're bringing people, like, for the sake of demographics, let's contrast some people, right? So let's say an 18-year-old female you're bringing in, and you're bringing in a 45-year-old male, completely different life experiences and wants and things along those lines. For us, we knew exactly who our demographic was, so we could create that content for them. So if it's not getting, I'd rather get 100,000 just rabid fans just going for our content versus 20 million that are the wrong demographic.
Yeah, I call those hollow likes.
Like we could do makeup tutorials and stuff like that. I'm sure but it would burn our core audience, the people we care about.
So you're saying that the core audience doesn't care about a coffee scrub?
Yeah, but
facial.
Hear what I'm saying though is, like, so if once you establish a customer base or a demographic who appreciates the content, that's why I say when we were at 50,000 subscribers, we could afford to do certain types of content. But once you get to 1 million, you have a massive amount of people who expect a certain type of content from a certain type of demographic. And if you don't feed that beast what it wants, you're going to see a massive drop off from people. And that's why I say you got to be super, super honest about the content you're creating. And then here comes your boy, the algorithm. If you see that people aren't engaging with your content, for example, we'll just say YouTube because that's what we're talking about. If you build this really rabid customer base of 1 million people and you're doing consistently humor, Matt Best walkthroughs, right? Let's say there's 50 of them. And then all of a sudden we do a makeup tutorial. They're going to look at that and go, what the fuck? And they're not going to, one, they may click on the video to see what it is. And then after you do that a few times, they're not going to click on it in their subscription feed. And YouTube's going to go, okay, so people just don't care about this product or this brand or this channel anymore. So nobody's engaging with it. Your algorithmic ability to distribute content goes through the floor because you aren't honest about what your audience wants or who they are. You did a big switch from, the 45 male to the 18-year-old female just based off of, this Instagram post that got like a bunch of likes. Like, oh, maybe I should do more makeup tutorials. No, there's a big difference between causation and correlation. And so you have to really figure out exactly what it is that you need to be doing through a bunch of different variables, but you got to gut check yourself. That's the biggest thing that I think a lot of people don't do is the gut check. Are they phoning it in just to feed the beast? Or are they actually creating something that they appreciate and they think that their audience will genuinely like?
Yeah, so a purpose to feeding the beast as opposed to just throwing random.
Correct.
Instead of slop hogging, you got you a show cow. Well, that's a little 4-H humor for those of you that Richard and I are both from Georgia. We understand 4-H.
Yeah.
Future Farmers of America. That was a good. I'm glad we did that. That was a nice little line we threw out there.
Yeah.
So to date, let me ask you this one. So your videos, that how much time goes into that? Just touch on it because I want to do another. What I want to do, I want to do another episode with you and Matt and Logan.
Okay.
Talking about making a video. So like Instructor Earl, for example, or the Prius one.
Yeah.
So those of you listening that haven't seen the Prius with the Vulcan 20 mic, I highly recommend you go looking at that because it's really amazing.
It's a lot of fun.
But I do want to talk about really, really quickly, and then we'll get the three of you guys on here talking about, I don't know how to make a video. It's not what I do. It's not in my wheelhouse. I don't pay attention to it. And I look at the finished product that you guys throw out there, and it's like, oh, my God, you make it look so easy because it's seamless. And I think that is about as big a compliment as I could possibly give a video content creator to make their end product look really easy to make. We all know that's not true.
I think because it's authentic. We do put in a lot of work, but it is fun. I mean, there's a lot worse things that we could be doing, and that authenticity resonates with people to the extent of making it seem like it's effortless.
Right, and I think that's a testament to the quality of what you guys do. The Prius with the Vulcan 20 mic cannon.
You can say millimeter.
I like mic. It sounds way more high speed and important in the fact that Dave is laughing not at me, but he's laughing because he thinks I look cool when I say that. Right, Dave? High speed. How much time did it take to do the Prius and the Vulcan cannon?
That was a different scenario.
I didn't ask you if it was different. I want to know how much time did it take? How
It
many
was a lot.
days total?
Days, I don't know. It was like I started in maybe February or March of this year, actually working on it to it going up. I think it was in October or November.
So you were doing concept in your head and stuff in February? Because I remember you and
No,
Logan.
it was 10 years ago, actually.
You and Logan called me. Logan FaceTimed me from the Sprinter van, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And you're like, "We're going to buy a Prius," and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah.
You're going, and you were like, "Yeah, man, we're going to buy a Prius. I got a wad of cash. I'm going to go buy a Prius."
Yeah, no, that's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I just didn't have the money or the resources to do it. I actually reached out to a few different manufacturers and stuff, and for a lot of reasons, people, just couldn't make it happen. And now that the coffee company is what it is, we were trying to figure out some things that we could actually spend some money on and make happen. And I reached out to a few people, and we were able to make it happen.
Where is that Prius?
I think it's at Battlefield Vegas right now.
Does it still have the cannon on it?
No.
You return the cannon?
No, you have to take it off for sure. I mean, it's an NFA item.
The ATF monitors that type of stuff?
Well, I mean, yes.
They call you every hour. Where the hell's that cannon?
No. That's on Battlefield.
So is that one of your favorite projects?
I like them all for a reason, different reason. Like one of my favorites was I took and raced deck cord and 50 cal round try to impact the target at the same time. So I took an 18-foot string out of deck cord. I think it was 25 or 50 grain. And then I created a collapsible circuit for the 50 cal round to pass through. And I measured its velocity by painting a 2x8 in like white and marking it out and trying to calculate inches and feet and things along those lines. And
yeah, you did some math that day, didn't you? Was it 2 days of math?
Yeah, it was fun. But those things, like, I mean, I think the only one of the, well, I don't know if I should talk about, I can talk about it because it isn't there. But like one of the,
we'll blur your face out.
Yeah.
It's safe. Go ahead. Tell us everything.
I've done some projects for different people. Like, one of them was a drone video that I had to take down just because I didn't want to, help any potential future terrorists with ideas, which ultimately ended up coming to fruition anyways. But, jumped out of the bomb bay doors of a B-17 in a wingsuit. I've done a bunch of like really, really fun things. Like it doesn't suck when you get to do it. There's a lot of work that goes in before and after though.
Yeah. So people see you in a 10-minute video. You're like, oh my God, it's so cool. He did it in a day. It's like, nah.
It's like 8 months. And then on top of it, you're like doing 1,000,001 different things. I mean, at the time, like the last few years, I've been juggling roles between Black Rifle Coffee and Rated Red and still trying to do my stuff. And it's like, sleep for the weary.
We're about to go hit a workout at Mission CrossFit here in about 30 minutes. So we'll get some rest later.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, Richard, listen, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, and I want to get you back on with Matt and Logan. I want to talk about content and how you guys make videos and the process and the music and all that stuff. And then I'd like to do another one just kind of talking about your role at Black Rifle and, from start to current. So,
and if anybody has any questions or something, just reach out because like I say, this is like everyone tries to like do these videos and it's such a complicated animal in so many different ways that it's just like you can't really, unless you know the person you're talking to, it's hard to really give any kind of cohesive strategy.
Yeah. Speaking of which, and it's very generous of you, speaking of which, where can people find you? Richard Ryan on Twitter.
So I'm like the most antisocial social media person out there. I'm very bad about it, but Twitter, I'm pretty good about. Instagram, I'm not the greatest, but YouTube,
what's your Instagram?
Richard Ryan, and then Full Mag Official, or those two, and then Twitter is Richard Ryan, YouTube's Full Mag.
Okay, there you have it, folks. I'm your host today, Baker Leavitt. And my guest, Richard Ryan of Black Rifle Coffee and Full Mag. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have some more stuff with Richard here coming down the pipe very soon. So thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.